Welcome back to the Realest Reviews. Today's review is focused on Only Murders in the Building, Episode 7, entitled The Boy from 6B. And the official synopsis of The Boy from 6B is: as the investigation scratches at a web of old crimes that originated inside the building, a mysterious young man turns the tables and spies on Charles, Oliver, and Mabel. And before I give up my review, please like and subscribe and comment and tell me what I should review next. And I would say this episode by far was one of the best episodes of this season because so many things was revealed, transpired, and it just opens up a whole new door of just questions and whatnot. So the episode starts off with just a flashback scene of just Teddy talking to his son Theo, who is deaf. And also this episode was mostly silent, as I would have to assume it was from Theo's perspective. And if that was the case, that was a really nice touch. And also that just shows that silence is the main key when it comes to just many different crimes. Like, I guess, like, people don't want to talk about what they done, and they just want to keep it silent at most parts. Meanwhile, the entire gang are still trying to figure out as in what the password to Tim's phone could possibly be, and they decide to freaking break into Teddy's place. And Teddy has Theo spy on them as well to like see what they know. So then this episode basically focuses on a lot of people just breaking into different places that they have no business into breaking into. As Theo is able to steal one of the keys from the doormans, and he breaks into Charles's place and he sees the evidence board with all of the different evidence that the gang has so far listed. Meanwhile, Charles and Mabel are able to break into Teddy's place, and they make a really crazy discovery, as there is a secret room that has over, like, I would have to assume like 20 to like 40 urns of people, at least what I thought. But as we later find out that these urns have different jewelry, I would have to assume, as we find out a lot of more important information, as we find out that Theo was always there when Mabel and her gang was breaking into people's places, taking their stuff and that kind of things. We find out as in how Zoe got that green ring, and that was because she, Mabel, Oscar, Tim, they all broke into Teddy's place, and Zoe basically stole the ring. And Oscar was like, you know, you're not supposed to take that and everything. So then meanwhile, we see Charles and Jan, they have a date together and they play Scrabble, they talk, and long story short, they have a good time. Meanwhile, Oliver and Mabel, they decide to go to this funeral to see what's going on, and they see like 20 different urns being transported into the other room. And Mabel assumes the fact is that Teddy is a grave robber. Basically, Teddy likes to steal jewelry from dead people. And more flashback scenes occur, as during the night of the New Year's Eve party, Theo and Teddy saw Zoe, Oscar, and a couple of other people. And after Zoe and Theo talk in the elevator, Teddy is very upset, frustrated, because he knows that Zoe has the ring, and he automatically assumes that Theo gave Zoe the ring, which is far from the truth. And then sometime later, we see that Teddy makes his son go get the ring back, as Zoe and Oscar did have like a huge argument and everything. That was just about the relationship and among different things. What we later find out is that Theo was there at the party as Theo and Zoe talk. But the conversation starts off well at first, but also at the same time, it turns kind of deadly, as Theo says that he's going to get Zoe a ring somewhere down the line because he needs to get the ring back. And long story short, the conversation turns sour. Zoe gives Theo the ring back, and Zoe starts pushing on Theo. And then long story short, we find out who killed Zoe, Theo. As Theo lets go of Zoe and Zoe falls to the ground dead and everything else. And Tim saw it. He saw it all. So then Theo goes back to his place. He tells Teddy exactly what happened and what he did. And then sometime later we see Tim talking to Teddy about what he saw. And somewhere down the line, Oscar and Mabel, they're in the back of a van that Teddy is driving, kidnapped, all tied up, and they are able to find out the password for Tim's phone, which was Theo. So then after the crazy night that Charles and Jan has, Charles tests out the password and it unlocks the phone. So that is how the episode basically ends with that. I felt like this was a really, really good episode. The episode being silent was just really interesting and good at the same time with how they were able to like show a lot more than ever before. And some of the things that I enjoyed about this episode was, first and foremost, the episode being silent. I think it played a huge important key with this, as we got to find out and see a lot new evidence that we never saw before. What type of time are Teddy and Theo on? Like, they are doing something bad, because Theo did say to his dad, like, they know, which was very concerning on Teddy's face. We finally find out what actually happened when it came to Zoe's death. I really don't think that Theo meant to push her off the building intentionally. I think that Zoe's death was just a huge freak accident on behalf. And some of the questions that I have now that this episode is over is whether or not does Teddy and Theo have something to do with Tim's body never getting seen, never being seen to the coroner's office, getting checked out to see whether or not he was poisoned or anything else. Because as we see that Teddy and Theo does a lot of work at funeral homes, another question that I have is that, and I think this is probably nothing really that important, is whether or not does the green ring have more significance than anything else, or is it just something not really that important? And when it comes to who I consider suspects, I still think that Jan may have something to do with it as well. But also at the same time, I really think that it is somebody that hasn't been discovered yet, that hasn't been brought up, or it is somebody that we haven't really paid attention to. Like, what if the killer has already been seen, but we just don't know it yet? I don't know. That is what I think about it. But I would say thanks for watching, and until next time, goodbye.